The first time I realized how fragile life could be, I was 12, standing in a dimly lit hospital corridor, clutching my mother's trembling hand while my father fought for every breath behind a glass wall. The beeping of the machines was deafening, yet everything felt painfully silent. In that moment, I understood that the world could change in a heartbeat, and the people you take for granted could disappear without warning. It was the kind of moment that leaves a permanent scar, shaping the way you see love, family, and the fleeting nature of time. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of love, pause for a second and like this video, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel because stories like this remind us why those values matter. Growing up, my father was a quiet man, the kind whose love wasn't expressed in loud declarations or grand gestures, but in the small, almost invisible things. He would wake up before dawn to brew my favorite tea, just the way I liked it, and quietly slide it onto my study desk before I woke. He never missed a single school event, though he worked two jobs to keep us afloat. I took it all for granted, as teenagers often do, thinking he would always be there, unshakable and eternal, a constant in a world that felt chaotic. I was angry often, frustrated by the rules, the chores, and his quiet insistence on discipline. I didn't see that his love was the steady hand guiding me through life, the kind that didn't demand recognition. Everything changed one rainy evening when my father didn't return home from work. I waited, hour after hour, as the sky darkened and the rain soaked through my clothes. My mother's anxious pacing filled the house with tension I had never seen before. By the time the phone rang, my stomach had knotted so tightly I thought I might faint. On the other end, a nurse's voice, soft yet urgent, told us he had collapsed at work. Heart attack, coma. The words blurred into a haze, but the image of him lying motionless in the hospital bed is burned into my memory. I couldn't understand how someone so strong, someone who seemed indestructible, could be so vulnerable. The days that followed were a blur of monitors, medication, and whispered conversations behind curtains. I stayed at his bedside, staring at his face, tracing the lines of his forehead, the curve of his jaw, searching for the father I had taken for granted. I remembered all the times I had ignored his advice, all the arguments over small things that seemed so important at the time, and I felt a surge of guilt so intense it almost knocked me off my feet. There were moments I wanted to scream, to cry, to beg him to wake up and forgive me for my teenage stubbornness. But all I could do was sit there, holding his hand, whispering into the sterile silence, telling him I loved him. Weeks passed, and progress was painfully slow. The doctors spoke in cautious tones, neither giving hope nor despair. I watched my father struggle with every breath, every movement, and I realized that strength wasn't about being unbreakable. Strength was about rising again, even when the world seemed to have knocked you down completely. I began to notice the little things, his fingers twitching when a nurse brushed his hand, a tear forming in his eye when he heard my voice. Those small signs became my lifeline, each one a reminder that he was still fighting, still present, still my father. During those long nights, I found myself reflecting on our life together, replaying memories I had overlooked. I remembered how he would stay up late helping me with school projects, his patience unending even when I struggled to understand concepts that now seem so simple. I remembered the way he fixed broken toys for me, not just replacing them, but mending them with care and attention. I remembered the nights he would sneak into my room when I had nightmares, rubbing my back until sleep returned to my eyes. Those memories were bittersweet, tinged with the realization of how little I had appreciated them while he was awake and well. Recovery was a slow, painstaking process. Physical therapy, dietary changes, and medications became the rhythm of our days. My father, once so independent, now depended on my help for even the simplest things. Watching him struggle to stand, to walk, to lift his own cup of tea, I felt a mixture of sadness and admiration, sadness for the suffering he endured, and admiration for the courage it took to continue, day after day, refusing to let despair win. I began to understand that love was not just in the acts of care he had given me, but also in the courage he showed in rebuilding his life. School became a place of tension for me. Friends didn't understand why I often left classes early, why I seemed withdrawn or distracted. I would smile, nod, and laugh when required, but inside, I carried the weight of fear and hope intertwined. There were nights I would sit by his bedside until I fell asleep in a chair, waking to see him still breathing, still alive. Those nights changed me. I learned patience, empathy, and a depth of love I had never known. I learned that real heroes are not those on movie screens, but the quiet, resilient souls who keep going despite pain and uncertainty. One morning, months after his collapse, there was a breakthrough. My father opened his eyes, and for the first time, he recognized me clearly. The relief was indescribable, a wave that washed over me so completely I couldn't stop the tears. I leaned over and whispered, "I love you, Dad," and for the first time, I felt that the words were enough, that they reached him, and that they mattered. His lips curled into the faintest smile, a smile that contained years of love, sacrifice, and pride. I realized in that moment that our relationship had transformed. It was no longer about rules or expectations, but about an unspoken bond strengthened by trials, loss, and the fragility of life. As the weeks turned into months, our routine began to resemble normalcy, though nothing could ever truly return to how it was before. We walked together in the park, my father leaning on me when fatigue struck, yet his eyes sparkled with a quiet determination that filled me with hope. I began to notice him laugh again, the sound deep and rich, reminding me of the power of joy to heal wounds that medicine alone could not. And I, too, began to heal. I learned to express my love, not in fleeting moments of frustration, but in gestures of care, attention, and presence. I learned to cherish the ordinary days because they were precious, more valuable than anything else in the world. There was a turning point when my father, sitting beside me in our favorite cafe, spoke words that I will never forget. He told me that he had always believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. He reminded me of the potential he saw in me, the strength he knew I had, and the resilience I would need to face life's challenges. In that moment, I understood that love is not just about being there for someone in good times, but standing together when life tests your limits, when hope seems fragile, and when fear threatens to consume you. Through this experience, I also began to understand the fragility of life and the importance of expressing emotions before it's too late. I started writing letters to my father, leaving them on his bedside table or slipping them into his coat pocket. I told him everything, how much I appreciated him, how much I had learned from him, and how deeply I loved him. At first, he couldn't respond much, but over time, those small exchanges became a beautiful ritual, a bridge connecting our hearts in ways words alone could not. The lessons I learned went beyond our relationship. I became more compassionate toward friends, family, and even strangers. I realized that everyone is fighting battles we cannot see, and that kindness, patience, and understanding are the most valuable gifts we can offer. I started volunteering at local shelters, helping children who faced struggles similar to mine, and mentoring younger students at school. I shared my story quietly, hoping that it would inspire others to value their loved ones and recognize the quiet heroes in their lives. Now, years later, as I look back on that terrifying period, I am filled with gratitude. My father is healthy, though he still bears the reminders of his ordeal, and our bond is unbreakable. We talk openly, share our fears and hopes, and celebrate the small victories that life grants us. The lessons of patience, resilience, and the unspoken power of love are etched into every moment we share. I often catch myself smiling at his quirks, the same ones I used to find irritating, realizing that they are the essence of the man who shaped my life. If this story has touched your heart, If it has reminded you of someone you love or inspired you to reach out to those who matter most, please engage with this video, like, comment, and share it with others who might need a reminder of the power of love and family. Before you go, I'd like to ask you to leave a comment sharing the most precious memory you have with someone you love. It could be a parent, a sibling, a friend, or even a mentor. Let's celebrate those connections together. Through it all, I learned a simple truth: life is fleeting, but love endures. The moments we share, the care we show, and the courage we offer in the face of adversity create ripples that touch hearts in ways we may never fully understand. Saying I love you, Dad, isn't just a declaration, it's a recognition of everything he has given me and everything I strive to carry forward in my own life. And in that, I find hope, strength, and an enduring belief in the power of love.